Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Vast Anonymous Comic Vault. It is I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is Austin, the Day Ghost.
Hey, everyone.
We are back for more classic comic review. Tonight, we're going to talk about the original Aliens vs. Predator miniseries, which came out all the way back in 1990 and had a really cool 30th anniversary re-release a few years ago that I didn't know about until Austin told me about it. He bought it. Look at that hardcover.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, it was one of the last things Dark Horse did with the brand. It's got gold pages.
Ah, that's
It's
so
super
cool.
nice.
Yeah,
It's very classy stuff.
Yeah, I read it in digital, so I did get to see the colors for this, and I'll be showing that tonight with scans, but I kind of want to get that now after finally reading this whole thing. Because I'll just get right up front and say, this is wonderful, and it's totally understandable why this ended up being as iconic as it was, and that everything after this, oddly, this hybrid property, Aliens versus Predator, is kind of looking at this. It's funny because we always say Alien versus Predator, but the original was Aliens versus, because that was the last movie. I guess Alien 3 would have come out by then, right? Or was that just after this?
When is Alien 3? Now I'm questioning it. No, Alien 3 might be after this, actually.
Okay, I thought Alien 3 was like 89 or 90, like maybe the same year.
Well, I was thinking...
It's 92. 92. So that comes out right after Terminator 2 does.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that has like a ton of production trouble.
Yes.
That is one of the funniest things where they released a teaser trailer and it's for a different movie because it's not the one they ended up making.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Do you think that would have been a better movie?
Well, the teaser trailer was basically like, now they're coming to Earth, and it's like, that's not the movie.
That's really interesting because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I did, and I'll try to show these later on after we go through the panels for the version that we read, but I went ahead and pulled down a few sample scans of what the original coloring looks like because it's so totally differently colored, and there is a... Actually, I don't think I pulled this down, but while I was looking through the scans of the old comics, I found the back of probably issue 1, but one of the issues is advertising an Alien book that is that premise. And that would have been 2 years before Alien 3 came out. So it's really odd if they were planning a movie where the alien or aliens come to Earth, that they would let Dark Horse do that premise in the comics before they did that. That's really odd.
Yeah, I wonder how that lines up because I can't remember when that teaser is, but it has to be, a while before that movie because, it's not even the same script.
So is there possibly this tiny window where they didn't even know if they were making a third one when this came out?
I don't think so, because I think there were certain points where they were working on like 5 different scripts or something, and they kind of just like hobbled stuff together out of them, I think is what ultimately happened.
See, that's why it's really odd that they would let them do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean...
Give me just a second here, everybody, because I've got to set this up so that Austin can see my panels.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, keep talking.
No, I was just going to say that was back in a period where we used to do that. I think the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like that as well, where New Line Cinema gets the rights and they just put out a teaser even though they haven't started working on anything. I don't know.
Topps did a Jurassic Park sequel before Lost World happened. In the comics. So, there is precedent for that, where that kind of thing will happen.
Yeah, well, and that's what they do with Predator. Their first Predator mini is just a straight Predator 2, and it's real weird. And it's also a, in New York movie about a cop, like what ultimately Predator 2 was, but it's like an alien invasion thing, and the main character is Arnold's brother, and he's, trying to figure out what happened to him. It's not a great mini, but it looks really nice.
I couldn't think of the name of it because I just saw that 10 minutes ago and I wasn't familiar with it, but he said that's called Earth War, which is interesting because now we have a show called Alien Earth, which I've not watched any of yet, but I've heard great things.
Yeah, we're just always leading that way, I guess. That's also where the timeline ends. Or no, is that in the theatrical cut? Because I think there's two cuts for Resurrection, but one of them ends with them going to Earth. It's in one of them.
And it's never really happened in the movies.
Hmm.
And then is Alien
Yeah.
Earth like a prequel thing or?
Yeah, I think it's the first thing in the timeline,
Okay, so we
but I
still haven't
could be
done
wrong.
this yet.
Yeah. No, we still haven't gotten this far. When I think in the deleted scene or the director's cut or whatever it is with Resurrection, Earth's like destroyed in the future, but that's like way far in the future by Resurrection.
Oh, Killer Moth says he doesn't like Alien Earth. That is the first person that I have heard say that.
I'm starting to hear a lot more mixed things.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so
Well, awesome. Why
it
don't...
also just ended like last week.
Oh, I didn't know it was that short. What is it? Only like 6 or 8 episodes, or?
It's 8, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's done because I'm more inclined to watch it now because I can binge it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of waiting for. I saw the first episode, but I was just waiting for it to end.
And then you said the other Predator thing this year that they put straight to streaming was good too. What is that? Because I've not
Oh,
seen that
Killer
either.
of Killers, the animated anthology movie.
That's what that.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was pretty fun.
I keep forgetting that's animated. I knew they did something, and then
Yeah.
there's that great looking live action movie that's supposed to come out. What, end of this
Mhm.
year or
Yeah, next month.
is it next
We're still
month?
in September. We're still in September. I was thinking we were in October, but it's
It's
November.
November. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's
so
Predator Requiem? No.
Badlands.
Badlands. We had an Alien Requiem. I can't keep all this straight. And these are not
Yeah,
my
Requiem is the
franchises, so it's
second
really hard to
AVP.
keep track of all that. Say again.
Requiem's the second AVP. That one is Aliens
Oh, that's
versus
what that
Predator. 'Cause
Alien
the
vs
first
Predator
is
Requiem.
Alien
Okay.
versus Predator.
And then what's the I can't remember all this stuff. What's the Alien movie that was the sequel to Prometheus?
Oh, Covenant.
Alien Covenant, okay. And then
Yeah.
the last Alien movie that they did that everybody was complaining was just a remake of the first movie was called
Alien Rhombus. No,
Okay.
it's Romulus, but I always just call it
Romulus, yeah,
Rhombus.
yeah. That we could have played Russian roulette. I would never have come up with that title. Like we reviewed that. I did not remember what the hell that thing was called. That's gonna be this whole commentary. This whole stream is just gonna be me asking Austin to refresh my memory about Aliens and Predator. It's gonna be the whole thing.
Yeah, perfect.
It's gonna be really easy trivia for Austin. He's gonna be like, "This is the most boring AVP trivia contest or trivia game."
Until I choke up like that Mortal Kombat thing the other night.
Remember
I
that?
look like a complete fool.
Okay, so Austin, talk a little bit
Yeah.
about why you chose this and your history with it.
Yeah, so this was a book. So I actually originally read this in the novelization. I got this, like the actual comic, not this specific one, but I'm just holding it.
Dude, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the more
Yeah.
you show that on camera, the more likely I am on stream to go on Amazon and order one. Like, it is
I don't
driving
know
me
if you'll be
nuts
able to.
looking at how pretty that is. Oh, are they not in stock anymore? Was it like a
Because this
limited
is
kind of thing?
Well, because this is like one of the last things Dark Horse
Oh,
does.
that's true.
So it's probably long out of print. I'd imagine this is super expensive
I
now.
hope someday Marvel puts it back out then.
Yeah, hopefully. They're weird about that stuff. So,
I'm gonna look into it. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
yeah. So I went on a my grade 8 field trip, and I brought the novelization for this and the comic, not realizing they were the same book. Read the novel and then started the comic and went, wait a minute, what the heck is going on? So I basically read it twice on this field trip.
You're having weird
And
deja vu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of always stuck with me, probably because I read it, twice like that, back to back. And this was actually my last request before I took over on the show, and then it just kind of got swept aside because I took over. So at some point, I was always planning on making you read this.
Oh my
and then I
god,
figured,
yeah, I'm never gonna
it's
be able to,
Halloween.
I'm never gonna get one.
Uh-oh, is it like crazy?
They're like the cheapest I'm seeing it is $100,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are asking for more than that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you got yours when you got it.
hmm Yeah, I kind of wish I had all three because they did one for Predator, Alien, and AVP, and I only got Predator and AVP. But at least it's something.
Yeah. Well, you probably got the best one, but I haven't read the other two, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and oddly, for like how much I love this stuff, I've read a ton of Predator and a ton of AVP. I've not looked much into the Dark Horse Alien books. Um, I'd like to. I want to get the new omnibus that they have out. So at some point, I will go through that stuff.
So how long is that novelization? Like, what size is that? Because I've never seen one.
I think it's about like 300 pages, like around there, give or take.
Wow. Like, yeah, I could see
Yeah,
expanding this to a prose novel like that. So we're probably like real in her head and
and we're like really in the Predator's head too. Like
oh,
all of
cool.
that's like really expanded. There's like details that I have for this book that come from the novelization, and I'm like, it is kind of here, but I have like the more built out version of it.
Yeah, you have to tell us about
Uh,
that. I'd like to read that.
yeah, hmm yeah, I remember it
I
being
wonder
good. I don't
how to
know. I
print
was
that is. I wonder if
13,
that's
so
$100.
yeah, I don't know how that goes with it being a novel. Like if it would be like under a
No,
different
usually that's not a
print.
usually that's not a big deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be too hard to find. But I don't know. I have my copy somewhere. I'll mail it to you.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I'm sure I can find one. So, this was a four-issue miniseries. Are these issues oversized? Because it's a lot of pages for
I,
for four issues plus a zero issue. Like even counting the fact that the zero issue is like somewhere between 35 and 40 pages, it still seems like these issues must be more than 20.
yeah, it must be because I think in here it says it starts at like page 9 and ends at 157.
Yeah.
So it must be.
So they were probably 25, 30 pages.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So I'll give you my quick history with this. I had read the zero issue and never read past that. I at one point just looking at stuff in digital. I was interested in this. I forget where I even found it, but I found this somewhere, and I was like, I've always heard good things about that. And AVP, like as its own franchise, was real big in the '90s. It was talked about a lot, and it was a really odd thing in not having any material outside of comics and video games. Like it seemed like a thing that was real in at least the geek sphere, the like that
hmm
zeitgeist, and everybody was real familiar with that art style and what that looked like, and that got kind of iconic, and so I was always kind of curious about it, and I really liked the zero issue and the art in that, and just how thoughtful and kind of metaphysical it got, because that's an ethical debate about over reliance on technology and survival of the fittest versus manifest destiny. It gets real heady, and
hmm
then I just never. I got distracted. I guess I got kind of ADD about it, and I went on to something else, and I never went back. And so I mistakenly thought that the whole thing was in black and white because the zero issue is, and I didn't know the zero issue was a prequel that came later, not very much later, and I don't even know what team worked on that because I don't think it's the same. It's the same artist,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
and probably not because he left after three anyway. So I doubt he came back to do that.
True, true. Yeah, like it is kind of hard to tell just in the sense that between 0 to 4, like the art's really consistent. It's like it is kind of hard to tell
Really
like
consistent.
the shifts.
And it's sad because or kind of weird to say, I should say, because some of the best stuff is in four, and this main artist is fantastic, but he leaves before that.
hmm Well, yeah, there's so many just like epic shots in that last issue. Like it gets so huge.
I kind of feel bad for him that he got too busy and he couldn't complete it because
hmm
that's That's all the big action stuff. I mean, that's what everything has been building to. He's drawing a lot of the suspense stuff. I mean, he does get to do some really cool action panels, even as early as the first issue. But a lot of it, I mean, the whole thing is structured uh, in in a lot of ways, I would say like the first Alien movie, in that it's a lot of build up, and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for the big, crazy stuff to happen, and the difference between it and the first Alien movie is about half of it is wall to wall action. So it's almost like a blend of Alien and Aliens tonally in that way, I guess. Because I actually mistakenly thought it was shorter than it was just because of the way I was reading it, and it was broken up into two sections. And so I thought I had very little left when all the action started, and I was like, how are they going to wrap this up in 20 pages?
That's really funny.
So it's pretty exciting when there was a lot more going on after then.
Yeah, for sure. And no, you're right. It does a good job of kind of balancing both Alien and Aliens, because with this kind of a crossover, you're more likely going to lean on Aliens because it's the action one of the two. Um, but we don't fully go, like completely divorced from Alien. Like there is still some good horror stuff in there, and kind of adding some of that to the Predator in places too.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a total 50-50 crossover to me. It feels a lot more like
Mhm.
the Predators intruding on the alien world. But then,
Yeah.
interestingly, the protagonist feels in some ways more like she's out of a Predator movie than an Alien movie, or at least that she's more linked to the Predator side of things than the Alien side. You and I spoke about this off camera, but that is smart because it makes her not just a Ripley clone. Like, there's obviously a lot of parallels to Ripley, and there's parallels to uh, arguably and again, I don't know these franchises super well. Probably characters in both Alien and Predator, but especially some of the people on that initial ship, that initial exhibition in the first Alien movie. I mean, all the way down to you got the guy in the cowboy hat. Like there's parallels.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I do think, and it's something I'd never really, thought of because I read this as a kid, and obviously, I'm not thinking about how, a story is formulated in that way. But I really do think this fits what I always say is the Predator formula, where this is an alien movie where the Predator shows up, and they are the ultimate like kind of thing that kicks off the plot. Like they are the ones that bring the aliens here, but it does feel much more like you said. We kind of took Predator and just put it in the alien world, and I think that works really well for this crossover.
Yeah, because structurally, the story is also very much an Alien movie, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we've got an ensemble cast of characters that are getting picked off as it goes along. There's a big mystery from their perspective as to what exactly the aliens are. In this case, it's a like a three-pronged battle, a three-pronged war. So they're also trying to figure out what the heck the predator is, and they're stuck in the middle of it. So instead of I there's aliens like in an outpost or on a ship or wherever you are, and you're kind of locked in with them. Like a isolationist horror, which is what Alien usually is. It's more we're stuck in the middle of this battle between these two things, but it still feels
Hmm.
like an Alien plot in that you've got that structure where we're picking off people, and where your protagonist is a female action star, action hero, and then you've got a lot of the staples, though not all of them, of that original Alien movie, where you've got to have somebody that gets infected, and then has the chest burster thing, like that happens. You don't get any androids. That's like the one major element that's missing.
Hmm. Well, that was something that I thought was kind of refreshing coming back to this because, like, we keep really going in on the androids now with the Alien franchise, and it was kind of refreshing going back to it, back to this, where it was like, oh yeah, the android's just like a little part in that first movie, and we just like keep putting the magnifying glass to it and going, this is what we want to focus on. And I'm like, but I don't know. I don't need Alien to be like the Temu version of Blade Runner. Like, there's all this other stuff that makes Alien interesting. So it's kind of neat coming back to this, where it's like, oh yeah, they're not even thinking about that side of it. And that was something I knew going in, that there was no android. But it still just really brought me back to a different place.
Well, I would argue that it's doing plenty of questioning the nature of humanity and how far apart we are from the animals and all of that, without having to go to the classic "what makes a man" question through an android. It's not at all one to one. So when I say this, I don't mean this like exactly, but the Predator almost takes the place of that. Like on its own, because you're with the android, you're questioning again what exactly makes us human. You're doing that with this by putting us kind of on a spectrum between the aliens and the predators. So my big read on this, Austin, was in a way the predator is what we're in some cases afraid we are already, and in other places is what we kind of wish we could be, depending on what perspective you're looking at it, right? Like it's that because in that Zero issue, which sets this up really brilliantly, you've got one side of an argument. You've got two guys on real classic opposite debate sides, and one is suggesting that we're too reliant on technology and that we need to kind of go back to our roots. And the other is saying, no, the technology is what makes us human, that we've been able to develop that, and we'd all be bored and would hate our lives if we didn't have that. And we deserve to colonize and take over and do anything we want to because we're able to do that. And that is survival of the fittest. That's how we've evolved as a species and all of that. And so one side of that argument would say the predator is what we need to achieve, what we need to get back to some degree, like in a way, the like primal but noble kind of creatures. And the other side says, no, we're better than that, and that's too primal, and we're more enlightened than that, but we also kind of deserve to rule, like the manifest destiny thing. And so the predator, again, could be either of those things, what we should be or what we are already. And then the alien is the perversion of humanity. It's what we're afraid we might turn into. That's the so like the predator, of course, is the hunter side of us, and the alien is the sorry, it's getting late and I can't think of words.
Yeah, like the colonizer type, like you like spread out and kind of consume everything.
Yeah, it's the it's the parasite. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for.
Parasite, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so they kind of represent two possible modes for humanity. Like we're either the predator or the parasite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's why you don't need robots. We're doing plenty of exploration of humanity without that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure we get like a ton of robots too after this. Because we even get to a point where we start doing like Predator versus Prometheus and stuff.
Dude, I had no idea just how many of these there were, even outside of intercompany crossovers. It's insane. Like, just Alien versus Predator. That list is as long as my arm. And it goes all the way up until they're done. Like,
yep.
Dark Horse keeps publishing Alien and Predator comics, and then, like I said earlier, AVP, its own franchise. It might as well have been conceptualized as its own thing. And I know there's probably a lot of things that are all canonical with each other, but from what little research I did, it looks like there's also a lot of stories that just kind of stand on their own. They're almost like Elseworlds things or what if things, that sort of idea.
Yeah, well, they treated them like Star Wars. Like this is like this big expansive thing, and they made just a million comics out of it. And like I said, they had it long enough that they were doing a ton of Prometheus stuff on its own and like Predator crossover with that. Like uh, Dark Horse, they get the most out of the properties they have.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that. That's a deep dive you could do for a long time. I didn't know just how much
Hmm.
there was.
Hmm. Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah, and they had that license for like forever. Uh,
Because I have always
also,
been
oh,
interested in Alien Predator
you're
as
okay.
just crossover concepts. And there's been enough of that that I've been able to just kind of read them that way for a long time. Not that I've read a ton, but like what little I've read has been more in that capacity. Because I've always said my favorite Predator is just as a Batman villain.
Mhm. Well, I think that's why, because you do see a lot of fans of this stuff where they're like, no, no, like AVP, it's not just like Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. Like there is something here, and then sometimes you'll get movie people that are like, oh, like whatever, like that's nothing, and it doesn't help that Fox kind of killed this as a property in the mainstream, but
No, it's
yeah, no,
really
this was
sad.
huge.
We live in the
Mhm.
bad timeline as far as that goes. Because this artist, help me out. What is his name again?
Ooh, what is his name? It
I'm gonna pull
is
that up quicker than I can.
Phil Norwood.
So thanks. So Phil Norwood was, and he's got a really good letter at the opening of this release, the 30th anniversary release, and I had no idea about this. Was a storyboard artist for Hollywood and worked with James Cameron and stuff. And he did Terminator 2 in the middle of this, and that's why he couldn't work on 4. He was the lead storyboard artist for that movie, which
Mm.
explains a lot with this. Just like how theatrical and movie worthy it is, and it makes me even sadder that we couldn't have gotten something like this in movies. There's just no excuse for it.
Mhm. Well, especially because that first movie does take elements from this, but it like completely like bastardizes it. Like it doesn't really get why this was cool.
We talk a lot about comics as storyboards and feeling real filmic. And we talk a lot about books that you could easily just take directly from the panels and turn into a film. This is probably the greatest example of that there is, or it's
Hmm.
it's 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 way up there, because he
Yeah.
comes in and he's just thinking about it like a movie. Because like he'd hardly done any comics. Like the story, movie storyboarding is what he did. So he got with the writer and said, "We can make this more movie-ish," and that's the big thing he brought to it. He brought to the writing, and so almost more than anything I've ever read, I wish we could have just directly adapted this almost panel for panel.
Hmm.
Even the
Yeah, no, I
length of
feel
it
vindicated.
feels like a movie.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I feel very vindicated coming back to this because I've said for years that you just take this and you make it a movie or like a mini series, like whatever it is, but you just take this and you just do it straight. Like this is the kind of perfect thing for AVP movie or mini series.
Yeah, I mean the only caveat to that, the only thing that makes me wonder how possible that would have been, like even at the point that they made AVP, is just if there are some action things being done in panels that would have been hard to pull off with the technology at the time, because it does go further than Alien and Aliens and the first two Predator movies, in all of what would have to be puppetry effects and animatronics and all of that stuff. But the other way to adapt this is in animation, of course, and particularly in something that looks anime, because this is surprisingly very anime inspired. And even with names and things like the name of the planet and the main character has a Japanese sounding name. The company is like, it feels like this is starting from a Japanese place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, there's quite a bit. Our main character, Machiko Noguchi, she's Japanese. We're on this, like you said, the planet was it Ryushi, I
Ryushi,
think is what it's
yeah.
called.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if we were explicitly told she was Japanese.
Yeah, I think she is
Okay, cool.
Japanese. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. I also kind of forgot there's maybe some alien references with names because you have a character named Scott, like Ridley Scott, and there's one named
Oh,
Weaver, which I imagine Weaver has to be intentional. Uh, Scott might
I
just
didn't
be,
even I didn't even think of
just a
that.
person named Scott, but
Yeah, like who's
uh,
Tom? I can't think of a major
yeah,
Tom.
I was like, oh man, please be named James, and then you have like James Cameron and Ridley Scott. That'd be really funny. And then I went, oh well, if you're not gonna do that, at least like maybe John, like John McTiernan for Predator. But no, he's Tom.
Let me ask you a question. Backing off with this for a second, Austin.
Yeah.
Is this, do you think, kind of its own thing that could be set apart from either universe, or do you think it wants to fit squarely inside of both continuities? Because it is curious that we have an adjacent company that's kind of like a Whalen Yutani, but isn't that. And so, like, it
Hmm.
could be in the same universe and is just like the Japanese version of that or whatever. But I wonder what your thoughts are on that. And there might be sequels that then directly connect it more with things. I don't know, but just this when it was made, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, Alien and Predator, I think of as kind of like Indiana Jones, and the continuity really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Especially, with some of this alien stuff, like you can be so far, removed just in terms of time, how far you are in space. Like yeah, I'm sure like it all connects adjacently, but like it's not super important. And then, like I said with Predator, like you just dump it into a thing. So like the continuity doesn't really matter with that either. It's like I don't see any reason that it couldn't fit with anything.
Yeah, I guess there's just the question of when it would happen if it did connect on the
Mhm.
alien side anyway. I with regards to uh, Ripley and Whalen and all of that, because somebody on Earth would be aware of the aliens. Although I don't know when and if that becomes uh, like public knowledge. Like if
Mhm.
they keep all that a secret, then other companies going to other planets could find out about the aliens, and they could all have their own secret files, and you could have multiple conspiracies about the same thing, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that kind of helps that it's not Wayland Yutani, just in that it really could be kind of any time, compared to Alien. It could be long after, it could be before, and even just those four Alien movies, like they take place across a couple hundred years, so it's not like you know they're super close knit either.
I was really surprised by that. I thought there would be direct connections. And
Hmm.
there are little nods and hints, of course, that are just going, we know who the audience is for this, and so we'll have little Easter eggs. And yeah, it's your dog's barking this time.
I know there's coyotes outside, like freaking out. So
Oh no.
he's all pissy about it. But I finally got him to lay down before we started, and so now I'm like, he's back to it.
I'm sorry, man.
No, it's okay. I'll give him a second to see if he is like okay. But I might have to run up quickly. And, I mean, I can bring my laptop with me, so we can still talk. But
Do you want to go ahead and
there
go
we
take
go.
care of that?
Yeah, I'll go take care of that. But
We're gonna go see Austin's house. We're gonna take a field trip now.
take a tour around my mom's place. Exactly.
That's a low ceiling.
I know. There's especially a spot where I can easily hit myself if I'm standing on something.
We are so professional. This is why we get the big views on our
I know,
space.
right? Here, I don't hear anything outside now, so it should be okay.
That's the
But
history of Geekvolution, man. It's been 16 years of this kind of nonsense.
hold on, I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Braden says that it actually happens in the Earth Wars sequel comic book. Oh, okay. What part of it, Braden? Because we got far enough away from that conversation, I'm not even sure what you mean. If you're talking about like public knowledge or those companies talking to each other, or like, he just went totally blank. He's blacked out. Well, hopefully Austin comes back pretty soon. I don't want to talk too much more about this without my co-host. Oh, other companies competing. I see. Cool. Killer Moth getting a thorough look at Canadian architecture. Yeah, it doesn't look that different, really. Well, this is riveting. If he's not back pretty soon, I'll just go to a title page for a couple minutes. Nichols photo, and then there's a mushroom cloud when Austin is gone. Exactly. Well, and see, look, all the predators are celebrating now that Austin is gone. Braden, also the xenomorphs have public knowledge in the Dark Horse comics as they invade Earth. Well, I would, or they are public knowledge. I would figure at some point they would have to be. I mean, if they invaded the planet, it'd be pretty hard to cover that up at that point. So, you guys tell me, is there kind of
Sorry.
one? Hi, Austin. He's back. It's not
Yeah,
black on the screen anymore. Um, so I know that there's direct sequels to this, and I don't know if the alien invasion comic we were talking about is connected to this stuff or not. But I wonder if there's like one major continuity that it keeps going back to, and there's other things that are more kind of ambiguous about that, like more standalone. They could connect, they could not connect. And I wonder how clear Dark Horse likes to try to make that.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of mixed. Like there is stuff that connects and there's stuff that doesn't.
Nicholas Bodo, how did you get radiation poisoning?
What?
He just wrote, "I got radiation poisoning." I don't even know why he said that. Oh, because of the mushroom cloud. See, there was a mushroom cloud on the screen when you left, and then look at the panels, Austin. Then I turned. Then I turned the page, and all the predators were celebrating that you were gone.
Oh, they're celebrating that he got radiation.
Or that you left. I thought it was that you left, but you can interpret that any way you want to, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Anyway, one of the things... Are we good?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. One of the things that I was immediately impressed with, and tell me if you agree with this, Austin, with this, like... Well, I was going to say an issue in... You can't really tell where the breaks are all the time reading it in trade, which I really like. I actually don't think singles is the way to read this. This coming out to month to month, I think kind of might have irritated me because it reads like one honest to god graphic novel that doesn't have clear cliffhanger breaks. Maybe if you read it in singles, because I haven't looked at it that way, they break them at cool enough places, but like there's little enough Predator action in that first issue that because we're just ramping it up, that I don't even know how people would have necessarily taken that. I think you want all of it together.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. Like, there's a couple places where I'm like, okay, I think this is a break.
Braden says it's more of a graphic novel. I think it absolutely feels that way. So anyway,
yeah, I agree.
One of the things I was so impressed with it about is it feels like these guys are conceptualizing this from the ground up. it's like if Alien and Predator was the concept in the first place.
Mhm.
Again, if you were to adapt this to a movie and that was the first thing anybody saw of any of these properties, A, you wouldn't be lost because it does a really good job of making you understand through new and inventive situations what the deal is with both of these species and how they work and what they're all about. But also, it it tells its own real uh, great standalone story. And so, in introducing all of that, it kind of just feels like it's the story in the first place. And I think it's a good enough story to almost rival the original Alien. Actually, I would go that far.
To almost rival what? Sorry, I like cut out a little bit when you said that.
I the original Alien. Like I if this had been the plot of that movie, it might have been as iconic as it was. I'll go that far. I think it's that good.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's definitely possible for both of them. When I think at this point, because we talked about with Alien, we only have Aliens by this point. We only have Predator for this, so it's like we don't even have
Oh
any
yeah.
concept of what a sequel would be for that. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure two comes out in the mid '90s, or at least early '90s, maybe.
Predator 2 is 90. It's the same year this came out.
Oh,
So
okay.
he wouldn't have had this to look at.
Oh, what am I talking about? No, of course, because you have the alien skull in the ship, which like sparks all the AVP stuff.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Yeah, I'm being dumb. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
But that wouldn't have come out yet as they're working on this anyway.
Mhm. Yeah. No, of course, of course. But you're right. It does really feel like that, and it just kind of feels like, okay, how do you take the predator concept and the alien concept and kind of merge them into one? And they just do a really great job doing that. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and so it works on a couple levels. It works for different audiences,
Mm,
because if you're a fan of both of those properties and they just naturally fit together, I'm sure before this you already had fans going. I mean, Fox owns them both. It seems like a real clear fit to put them together. I'm sure that was happening just like Freddy versus Jason was already happening, but
hmm
people wanted to see that happen. And so if anybody were to read this, and I don't know that anybody did, that hadn't seen one of those movies or somehow hadn't seen either, it's a good introduction to both. And again, it feels like a concept. It doesn't feel like a mixture of concepts, especially
Yeah.
thematically. But then, if you are a fan of that stuff, of either or both of those things, it's fun to see how they would mix. So it works on both of those levels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and because you can't really say that about a lot of crossovers, especially like the monster versus monster ones. Where you can see them as working as their own property. I think what helps is, yeah, you have a lot of the deeper stuff you were talking about earlier. With the kind of two sides of humanity thing, as well as just like the monster mash stuff. Like we do both. We are telling an actual story. But then you can also have things like, oh my god, I'm being attacked by an alien. Help! I'm at the east door. We can't. We're being attacked by predators at the west door, where they are literally in the middle of them.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it can like really find that balance.
So that was the most surprising thing to me is just it doesn't read like a crossover.
hmm Yeah, no, not at all. Especially something like, say, like Freddy versus Jason, like you said, like you got to kind of finagle a reason for them to meet.
Hmm.
Like I remember I watched a video the other day about there's a Jason versus Leatherface crossover, and it's like Jason has to get like on a train to Texas, and it's like you got to figure out why they meet.
Well, and
While
this
here
is
you can just jump in.
This is one of those things where you start with the obvious concept because it's just the right place to start. So, like,
Mhm.
if anybody using their brain said, "How do you cross Alien versus Predator?" Well, you have the Predator, uh, or predators trying to hunt aliens, and they find some aliens and they drop them on a planet, and then they make that a regular hunt that they do. That's the obvious way to go.
Yeah, and I like the idea that they talk about where it's like fish, where you got to like spawn the lake, where you put the eggs in so you can go fishing. So like we tie it into something that does happen here.
Yeah, well, and the way you make it not just an easy, like cookie cutter kind of setup, like a video game plot. At no point was I thinking video game while I was reading this. That
Mhm.
was another thing that I was really impressed with. Where I, well, I say that maybe in the last issue, when we start mowing down aliens with guns, only because I've played the games that do that. So but it's more I'm seeing inspiration from this than this is taking inspiration from video games.
Well, especially like Alien is, such a huge thing for video games. Like, stuff like Contra or Metroid, like those do not exist without Alien.
Yeah, Jason and I were just having that conversation about Metroid today.
Hmm. They're really lucky in a way that video games were such just like a dawning new medium that a lot of these film companies weren't thinking about like, hey, they're kind of ripping us off. We should maybe step in.
Because some of those are really thinly veiled.
Yes. Yeah, quite a few of them, especially with Alien, are like very thinly veiled.
But it also just naturally translates to that medium, and
Hmm.
of course Alien and Predator and Alien versus Predator have a history very soon after this in video games also. Like the
Hmm.
the Alien versus Predator arcade game, the beat 'em up, which is a really excellent beat 'em up, by the way. It's kind of an unsung hero because I don't think it ever got a port, so a lot of people haven't played it. Uh, but if you ever get a chance to play that, it's great. But that must have been just a couple of years after this, maybe as late as '93, but I doubt it was much later than that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's about where I would have thought that it came up, and obviously that's very much looking at the Dark Horse stuff because it's all that existed really
Yeah,
for AVP.
and so the art looks a lot like this, and it's some of the most gigantic sprites you will ever see in a beat 'em up. It's fantastic.
Well, they got to get so many details in, like all the ridges on the alien head.
Yeah, they're huge. It's like playing with 10-inch action figures. Like they're gigantic.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've seen bits of that game, and the face huggers are like the size of a like Doberman.
When you finally make the trip to come here, we'll play that together.
Oh, absolutely. That's like the first thing I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna walk in and be like, okay, you know what we're doing.
We'll do that, and we'll play the Simpsons one too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because I've got a big emulator machine that those look really good on. So I played all the way through it, like maybe a year ago. I had never done it, and I pulled it up on my Virtua Fighter machine, and it's fun. But anyway, I digress. So the point I started to make earlier, Austin, is this obvious setup. It's the way to do it, but you could really easily make it kind of just an excuse for action. The what elevates it above that is the way it uses the alien and the predator as like I was talking about before, like metaphors for us. So when we open this up and we take the predator to this planet, we're immediately paralleling what we're doing in colonizing and what the predator is doing to this planet. That question about whether it's right for us to go to other planets and like stake out our spots on them and take their resources and all of that. The predator is doing the exact same thing with the same planet, and so we're paralleling our species with theirs, and we're talking about hubris. We're asking whether we have a right to do that, or if we're going against nature. The predator is kind of doing the same thing, and the alien is usually used as a as a like a freak of nature, because, and this doesn't get into the genetic engineering and the space jockeys and all of that. Like this doesn't talk about how the alien is created, so that is a thing that you do have to kind of bring to it, I guess.
Sorry, Cap. We're cutting out a little bit more now. Like it's starting to go. Apparently, we're just having a ton of issues tonight.
No, that's all right.
Sorry
Hold
about
on,
that.
I'll be right back. This happens on average about once every 2 shows now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, exactly. But the comics are gone, so you'll have to put that back on.
Okay, thanks. Anyway,
Yeah, no worries.
there's nothing awkward.
Yeah, and
There's nothing awkward at all about the stream.
I know, right? We're having a whole mess of a thing. Uh, yeah, and a lot of that kind of engineering stuff, like, just wouldn't exist at this point, because the space jockey is such like a mystery in that first Alien.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, do we know by this point that they're for sure not a naturally occurring species?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's been a little bit since I've seen the first two Alien
Well,
movies,
in that
though.
case,
So
it kind of works either way, though, because if they're a
Mhm.
naturally, that actually explains a panel in the Zero issue I was going to ask you about. That
Oh, okay.
that kind of is a metaphor for nature, because remember there's a panel where it has a big shot of the alien queen's head, and it says
Mhm.
nature is the B word, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, the
Mhm.
xenomorphs are not naturally occurring, and so that explains
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, no, I don't think that comes until Prometheus, because that's when you get the whole like engineer thing.
Like, I felt like it still
Uh,
kind of works either direction, because it's either this
mm,
naturally occurring horrifying parasite is like is how we're paying for our hubris, right? Like,
mhm.
having to deal with the alien is both for us and the predator is like a punishment for our hubris. It's sort of like Godzilla and nuclear warfare,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
that could, and so if you make them genetically engineered, that metaphor probably works a little bit better. But they can also work as just we're messing with nature if they come from nature in the first place too.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I've always preferred. Just that they came from somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? There's such just this bizarre mystery.
Well,
Uh,
especially because the predator is like there's actually a whole other social commentary happening there if they're natural, because the predator is taking them from one place and dropping them in another place, and now you're effing with ecosystems,
mhm. Yeah, exactly.
which is
Which
what
you
we're
really have
doing
with both
when we're
sides. Yeah.
colonizing. So
Hmm.
sorry, I'm taking too
Yeah,
long to
the
make
whole.
this point, but I'm
It's
just,
okay.
and I apologize. I'm a little bit out of it today, but I'm just suggesting that that's how I like the humans and the predator end up being kind of paralleled, and then there's direct parallels for the aliens and the humans in, again, just the kind of perverted way that they're what we could be.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they're the ultimate like primal. being, but at the same time, they like expand outwards and corrupt everything. Absolutely.
And then the hopeful part of the piece is the ways in which the predator might have humanity, might have compassion and altruism, and really uh, the optimistic idea that holds the whole piece together is the predator that ends up siding with our protagonist.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this is something that's just kind of hinted at. We don't get a ton about what's going on with their side of it, but like I said, I've read the book, so I know kind of some of that stuff a little bit more fleshed out. But the whole thing with that is that our predator that we have, that's the good one, he is like a teacher and he's training all these younger ones. And then he gets injured, and they're a bunch of like young rah rah, like let's go get him, boys, kids. So they're like, like screw our teacher, he's a jerk. And you get some of this in that Zero issue, specifically when we see the kind of big one that takes over. When they specifically say, what happens if like a bully is the one that like takes over your society if it's a
Okay.
combat based one. So you kind of have that where like this young one kind of rallies them up, and instead of being honorable, hunters, they're just plowing through everybody, like just killing everything in sight. And that's part of why he kind of steps in and is like, hold on now, like I'm gonna kill both sides of you. You can all suck. Then you have an element too where he's grateful to the humans because they nursed him back to health after he
Right.
was injured too.
Yeah, and that's where the compassionate thing comes in because it's like, well, I can't kill you. You cared enough about me that I've got to return the favor.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And this is something that like you can like tell super well, and it might just be added for the novelization. I don't know. But the predator that comes in the hospital room is that one that is like the bully one that like takes over. So like
Okay,
that's
yeah,
kind of the moment
I
of
didn't
like
get that.
I'm taking back dominance. Yeah, it's not super fleshed out. Like I said, we're kind of dropping hints. Like it's
Okay.
one of those things where I just know that from the novelization, so I'm like, okay, here's like the little hints that they have towards that, and then they fleshed it out more
Well, and
in
that's when
that.
things get complicated with POV because
Mhm.
the only way to get into the predator's head and give us any of that with this would be through internal monologue with narration boxes, and this moves too much of at a clip to do that, and
Mhm.
would, it's weird to say this, actually make it too much of a comic book
I
because
was thinking the exact same thing while rereading
this
it.
wants
Like,
to be a movie, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it's it's the medium is really serving it, certainly, but it works perfectly well translated just directly to screen, like we said earlier. And so it would be, with the way it's using the form, it would be inappropriate. Like, this is not a flat out comic book the way Watchmen is, where that's so much about that medium and utilizing that medium is the only way to do it. This is using panels like it's a film, and so if all of a sudden you had all this internal monologue from
mhm.
a creature that can't have a voice, it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, this is still very much a comic. It's just it knows its roots. Like it knows that it has its roots in cinematic history.
And there is internal
Uh,
monologue on the human side. Don't get me wrong,
mhm.
from the protagonist, and you would have to lose some of that in a movie. So I mean, you would still have to adapt this
Mhm.
in that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I was thinking that exactly though, this time reading it, where it's like, yeah, if this were a movie, you wouldn't have that. Like all the Predator stuff would be hinted at because that's all we've ever done with that. It looks like we're gonna get a little bit more with Badlands, where we're gonna kind of see them talk for the first time and be a main character, but that's breaking the mold.
Yeah,
Well, this is more in the mold.
and this is basing that off of one movie that did it that way. and saying
Yeah,
maybe this will
exactly.
be the tradition. We're gonna continue that as the tradition.
Mhm.
And I really
Yeah.
like that because it makes them kind of mysterious, and you get enough breadcrumbs that you can piece together quite a bit about their culture, but there's still stuff you don't understand, and it doesn't break the story. But some of the things th- that I you're telling me that kind of enlighten some of that. I wish somehow we had. I like
Mhm.
all I got with this. I there's a mirroring that happens um, with a couple of predators where you have the good one in the hospital that ultimately sides with our main character with Machiko, and then you have one that fights an alien that actually saves her. Not because he cares about her, but just because he's fighting an alien, if I'm remembering the
Mhm.
scene right. And
Yeah.
he has no sense of strategy. He's got no experience. It's sort of like if you had a soldier that had only ever fought in a simulator or something, and then now they're on the battlefield and they're too overly confident, and he gets taken out immediately. And so you do have the sense of one of them is kind of a more of a like wise sage kind of character or has a lot of experience is like the main general. Like I got the sense that he might be in charge, but I wasn't even totally sure about that.
Yeah.
And then you've got the kid that's like the 18-year-old new recruit in the army that just got out of basic training and had to deploy on the front lines a week later, and that's why the pawns go first. Like it's very much that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the sense that all of the other predators were like that kid. Like that, I wasn't
Mhm.
sure about.
Yeah, for sure. It's mainly, I'd say, the biggest kind of hints towards that are that moment where she observes one of them, and then later on observes our main one, who's Broken Tusk, who has a different name in the book, 'cause that's the name that she gives him because he's got a broken tusk.
Yeah.
And I think his name in that is like Deshande or something like that.
Oh, he has like a real predator name.
He has like a real predator name. Yeah, I think there's like a few of them that do because they name like a couple important ones. Um, and he also has like the marking on his helmet too, and none of the other ones have that. So there's like a couple things where
Okay.
it's like visually we're dropping hints or having her like observe things, but we're not getting too deep in it.
I found her really sympathetic and likable. And like I said, I was impressed that she wasn't just a straight up Ripley clone. And there are parallels to be sure, but the biggest difference between them is she's actually the leader this uh, of this group, um, this colony, and she works for the kind of I don't know if it's an evil corporation, but certainly a corporation that doesn't care very much about the people they've dropped on this planet. And her um the people that work under her don't really trust her because she's connected to because she's under this organization, and they don't trust this organization. They're just out for profit or whatever, and so she has to keep proving that she has their best interests at heart, and manages to do that when she convinces the corporation to give them more money or something,
Mm. Yeah,
and
to give him a raise.
to give him a raise. And so I thought that was a really cool difference with her and Ripley, because Ripley is like one of the underlings initially. Like she's sent there by the corporation to just do a job, and
Mhm.
this is like if the captain of the ship was the main character that I like that was the most human, the most compassionate character.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Rereading this, it was giving me vibes of The Thing as well. Like that was part of it too.
Good
Is that
call.
she's got like a little bit of McCready in that, and McCready doesn't start as the leader, but like becomes the leader, and you get some of that where it's like, okay, this entire thing's fallen apart. Like we have our little colony here, and there's no hope getting help from anyone else. Like how am I gonna take what I have? and kind of make this work. And by the end, just nuke it all.
What else would you do?
Yeah, yeah, you're completely screwed.
And that's what you always have to do with Alien, because especially with this, because there's like hundreds or possibly thousands of them. But it's always that thing where it's like you gotta get rid of every trace of them, or they'll just keep spawning.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll just keep coming. They're the ultimate life form in that way.
There's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he could do that. Do you think Shadow the Hedgehog is more of a chest burster or more of a what are the other alien types?
No, he's like the main alien, like the just kind of regular ones,
Oh,
and
okay,
then
okay.
yeah, Tails is like the chest burster, and I don't know,
Who's the alien queen then?
Vector, the crocodile. He's the biggest, so he's got to be the
Perfect.
queen.
Yeah, I liked all that talk in the Zero issue about uh, survival of the fittest and I the you had some talk about like predators that are just trying to survive. And then the prey, of course, that's doing the same thing. And so there's talk about like snakes, and then we literalized that with this really great symbolic panel of an alien, like like with its mouth just over a snake. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, all that's really great. Yeah, it's
That was a very clear symbol. It was like whoever's at the top, there's always somebody else above that.
yeah, and they
Nature's a
mentioned
B word, you see.
exactly, yeah. No, and they mentioned was it snakes, cobras and mongooses, and like how
Cobras and
mongooses come in.
yes.
Yeah, and they're like the mongoose will come in and take the eggs. So there's like also a parallel to the predator there, and that and how that goes. But then we also then swap it out where we then talk about the kind of like primal going back to like being a survivalist type of thing where we are more so paralleling the predator.
Yep.
So yeah, like you said, that whole just issue 0 is just like a whole break down the themes.
Yeah, and I should be irritated about that where we have this extra tacked on issue that feels the need to spell out all the ideas of the piece. It's just really thoughtfully done. And I think and like I said, it's heady and it's thought provoking, and some of the ideas that it points out you can clearly get from the main piece. Uh,
Mhm.
but it's two things. There's a really cool, uh, just ethical debate happening where there's really good points made on both sides. Like nobody wins that debate. By the end of that, I don't think anybody could read that issue and say at the end one clearly wins out, unless you just have enough bias on one side that you appreciate one side over the other. But like both are really really well argued. But also the visual storytelling in that is really nice in telling us just precisely how the predator brings the aliens to this planet and what the aliens are doing on this planet. I
Mhm.
and it's weird to see an alien queen in such a like vulnerable submissive position. Like
Yeah,
that's an image you don't expect to see.
yeah, and that's something that the first AVP movie like takes directly, but they do a thing where it's frozen and it's being like electrically like prodded to do it. So it's maybe a little bit more just kind of forced to do it. Uh but also the kind of frozen thing is dumb.
I was frozen today.
Exactly.
This is well, also this is just more disturbing than that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like they literally
absolutely.
enslave the alien queen.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's not just kind of woken up and then frozen and then woken up like when they need it. It's always there.
Yeah, and like they
Mhm.
put a giant gag over its face, which I don't really understand how that works because I feel like that mouth opens far enough it could just chomp it or like bust it, but
It's a really big one, and there's like a really little gag on the inside mouth
yes,
too.
that's not. It's such a provocative, screwed up image. I gotta tell
Yeah, well,
you,
especially it's our first place to see the alien stuff. Like,
if you watch it, yeah, if you read it in the order it's in the trade as opposed to how
yeah,
it was initially released, and that was the thing I wanted to talk to you about because
yeah,
I am really of two minds about what the best order to read this is.
hmm
Whether to actually start with that or to read the four issues as intended and then go back to that as a prequel piece. Because I can really see it both ways. And I read it in the order that it was in the trade, of course, and finished it and went, well, if I read this as initially intended, there's a little bit more mystery because you already know the alien is there. And I mean, yeah, like the thing is called Alien versus Predator. You know that's going to happen at some point. But I feel like the initial miniseries is written with more mystery about what the Predator is doing exactly on the
hmm
planet with the alien, and arguably the alien is scarier if you haven't already seen it in that really vulnerable position.
yeah. No, I think that's completely fair. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but you're right. Like, there is an argument for both sides because what I like about having Zero before it is that you get to see a little bit more of what the kind of predator dynamic is with them on the ship. And then I think it's interesting to see, like, okay, this is what their hunt is supposed to look like. And then we're going to jump into the story where, it completely falls apart. So, like, it's also kind of neat seeing it from that perspective, too. But I can see where you're coming from, where it's like, okay, but there is more of like an air of mystery if you're not, if you don't have Zero first.
Yeah, but I also think it's clearer what's going on if you've read the Zero issue and already knowing all the themes up front. I think I probably appreciated them more because it was so highlighted. And you could say, oh well, it's holding your hand, but there's it's sort of like getting to in a way, at least thematically, get to have a second read on your first read because you already know what the whole thing is supposed to be about. And so you're seeing all these little details and nuances that are playing out that debate that you read in a prologue. So I do really like that about it.
Mhm. Well, you see, Cap, they predicted Prometheus. They were like, we need to go back and add a like philosophical prequel.
I think if this had been made into a movie, that prologue, that Zero issue, is the perfect tie-in prequel. That would have gone down as one of the best tie-in prequel comics to a movie you've ever had, and it would be a thing that you'd want to read a week before the movie comes out.
hmm Yeah, that would be like what they did with Covenant, and this is more like they just cut the opening of that movie and like releases little shorts. You could add something like that with this, but like that would almost make more sense for that strategy.
I also want to talk about. So we talked about the Zero issue and how that works structurally. I also want to talk about the few pages at the end when Machiko. I love this ending, by the way, like a
Oh,
lot.
also, since we're looking at this page, this is
Yeah,
another example of the predator's like, oh my god, like you just killed all these people that had nothing to do with our hunt. And this is another place where it's just like a visual hint, but we're not getting too deep into it.
I was seriously shocked when the two predators just start throwing down. Like I was not expecting that to happen.
Oh, it's awesome, and he stabs the other one through the head with his spear. It's so
I love
cool.
how involved
That's
that
all that
gets.
like lives rent free in my head. A lot of
So
the imagery in this just has like really stuck with me since I was a kid.
By the way, before I get to the point I was about to make, speaking of that, how do
Yeah.
you feel about the new coloring versus
Um.
what it used to look
So
like?
so because I'm not sure exactly when it gets recolored, if it's specifically for this or if it's just for when it was put in trade. Um. I had a
Yeah,
hard
I
like I
wasn't sure
wasn't
about that
entirely
either.
sure.
I wonder if it
Yeah,
wasn't for a later trade, but not this one, because it gets traded again in like the
yeah,
mid 2010s. It might have been recolored then.
yeah. And because originally read this in the omnibus in probably like 2010. So it's just been so long, and I don't know if it was these colors or if it was the original colors. So I'm just not entirely sure. But I think this book looks gorgeous.
I do too, and I'll show the original colors at the end of this, like I said, and the black and whites for the zero issue. I love the zero issue in color now. It looks really good in black and white, but once you've seen it in color, there's some stuff that's just easier to even understand what you're looking at is part of it. But it's also
Yeah.
just really pretty.
Mhm. There is one funny moment though in issue 0, where the alien's head is colored like pink, like flesh color, and that's kind of funny. But
Oh,
outside of
really?
that, yeah, I think it's the first time you see the alien. It's like the big shot like that, and it's got like a pink head, and then after that, it's blue for the rest of it. But that part's kind of amusing.
So the predator that befriends Machiko has a really great sad death scene, and
Mhm.
gives her the predator mark, and that pays off at the end in the trade where she stays on the planet by herself for 2 years and talks about how insane it has probably driven her. And then new predators show back up in order to finish the alien hunt. And they see the mark on her head and then invite her basically into her tribe. And the book ends with she goes with the predators, and it's like being raised by wolves or something.
Yeah,
It's great. The
yeah, and she's got like a whole history where she is a human predator. She's a big favorite character.
I want to read the rest of the stuff with her because I fell in love with her in this book. I think she's wonderful. I am very confused, and hopefully somebody in the comments can tell us if you don't know it, Austin, about what the publishing history is with the last few pages. Because I went back in and I looked at the singles, and issue 4 does not include those last 4 or 5 pages. The
Mhm.
original issue 4, as far as I understand it, what I found, has that panel where you see the thing on her forehead, and the I think it's when the predators show up, because there's a few more pages where she goes with them and is like fighting aliens and stuff, and it just says the end, like when they show up. And
Mhm.
when I was reading, I thought that's where it was going to end. That seemed like the obvious end panel. And when I was shocked when
Yeah.
I turned the page and there was more, and I don't know where those pages were originally published.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I'm pretty sure that was in the old omnibus I had. But I would imagine it's probably sometime after they continued with this character and kind of had, more of a sense of where it went. Maybe they decided to, kind of tack this on to this book.
By the way, this is probably my favorite page.
It is a cool one.
You just gotta love that panel layout. Like, you gotta love the alien tail all the way across the page like that. It's so cool.
Man, it breaks the panels.
It's
Like,
super kick ass,
that's
man.
fantastic.
This is my favorite period for.
Rask.
This is my favorite period for action. Like
Oh,
this.
sure.
I felt oddly nostalgic reading this, even though I had never read past the zero issue.
Mhm,
Partly because of Predator versus Batman.
mhm.
I
Well, it's just like there's such like a specific period in comics too.
And that's not too far after this when that
Mhm.
comes out. So that's definitely looking at this, or at least the Dark Horse, because it's Dark Horse artists.
Yeah.
It's connected to all that stuff. But I'm also just thinking about like more violent, particularly DC stuff, like around this period. And
Sure,
I
yeah.
was real right at home with the panel layouts and the pencils, and I know I reference this artist a lot, but there's a little bit of Barry Windsor Smith in this.
Yes, I can absolutely see that. And I think he's I think he did some Alien work.
Oh, cool.
I think so. I could be wrong. Let me, let us know in the chat.
I was
But
reminded
I'm
most
sure he did.
of him, and then occasionally Mike Mignola, who does a cover for one of these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that one didn't even jump out at me as much, but no, I can see a bit of that.
Braden says probably AVP War, the sequel comic.
That's what I was thinking. Like after that came out, maybe they did like a reprint of.
Unless they just put 5 pages in the middle of a random issue of Dark Horse Presents, because I could totally see them doing that.
It is possible. Dark Horse is confusing. I love Dark Horse. They are a fantastic comic company. I do not understand them all the time.
I mean,
they're a much easier company to read and trade.
A lot of comic companies have their weird quirks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we complain about point ones and stuff all the time, but like, it was really difficult to figure out like when the Zero issue was written and like where that fell and if it was made before or after this. Like I don't know what the original AVP story is that was in Dark Horse Presents, because there is a short story that they do as soon as they get the license that was the year before this, that's 89, and I have no idea what that is or how it relates to this. But
yeah, I've probably read that, but it's been so long. Because I read through like all the omnibuses that they had at the time, back in like 2010. But it's been so long.
So this is what were we calling this predator? What was her nickname for this predator again?
Oh, it's Broken Tusk.
Broken Tusk.
Like a little chipped tooth.
It's on the tip of my. It was broken something. So this is his death scene. I mean, look how cinematic this is. You just immediately you know exactly what this would look like in a movie. You can hear the soundtrack, like it's wonderful. But he's got such a good handle on how to use the recorded lines in new context that the Predator likes to do in the Predator movies. I really appreciated how that was worked in, and the way he uses that to communicate, and that she's smart enough to know that that means he has to understand English. I really appreciated that. She was like, I know you know what I'm saying, because you keep playing back things I said at points where it makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, he could be a parrot. You don't know.
Yeah, but it would be so coincidental.
Because we did a blind watch of this, and I guarantee you don't remember much about it. But do you remember how they completely butcher this in the movie?
No, I'm
this
scared.
Exact scene?
I'm scared to death to rewatch it now. So they do that in the movie where she teams up with him.
Yeah, and there's no reason for it. They just team up.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing in this, and it really subverts expectations, right? Because let me say this real quick. Let me backtrack, because we didn't talk about this.
Yeah, go for it.
So they've got him in the infirmary, and the doctor is nursing him back to health, and you have this really great, almost pacifistic doctor character. I don't remember her name, but I should mention her. She's a good character too. And
it's Dr. Ravna, I think it's something like that. Something with an R.
Rava, something like that. And at one point, Mashiko hands her a gun, or somebody hands her a gun.
That's Mashiko, yeah.
And is like, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to use this. You're gonna have to protect yourself. And I had that moment where I was like, she might be pacifistic enough. She won't even do that. But luckily, she does. But anyway, she's nursing this predator back to health. And first of all, I kept thinking, I don't know why anybody is letting her do that.
Especially like once the kid, because the other predators kill family, and the kid's like, oh my god, it's one of them.
Okay, sorry, I know we're jumping around, but you just unlocked a memory. I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I felt really bad. We showed the panels already, and some of the bloodiest pages with that kid. I
Yeah,
felt
it's pretty gruesome.
I felt really bad for that kid. He's running down the hallway, and he's lost his parents to the predators. But what was what I couldn't help but kind of laugh at a little bit is the order in which he mentions his family being killed is the dog first.
Yeah,
He seems much more upset about the dog
of
than his
course.
parents. So I had to throw that out. But anyway, so we're
See, if Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne, his parents died, he became Batman. If he had a dog and his dog died, he becomes the Punisher.
so we're nursing yeah, or John Wick.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're nursing this predator back to health, Broken Tusk, and I was having flashbacks to an early episode of the 90s X-Men cartoon where they've got Sabretooth in the infirmary. And you're just waiting around, and that's over a couple of episodes, because that show was so serialized. And you're just waiting around for Sabretooth to break out and start attacking people and try to kill people in the X-Mansion, which is, of course, exactly what he ends up doing. And there's all this talk about how like we shouldn't have him here, like Wolverine, like really angry that Xavier's trying to nurse him back to health. So this whole time I'm waiting for this predator to be like one of our main threats.
Mhm.
And then she saves him, and he returns the favor, and it turns into a big team up with her and that predator. And call me gullible, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, especially here where you're just getting the bits, it is like okay, we're going in that direction. Because the way it plays in the novelization is very cathartic. Like, okay, like he's back, like he's back in the action, getting his revenge on these people. But here, I can absolutely see why you thought it was going to go that way.
So yeah, this is what I was talking about. If you look at this, and I'll show the panels in a minute. If you look at this in the original singles, she is looking, and I guess they don't even show the Predator coming back yet. No, of course it wouldn't, because she's got to wait around for 2 years. So all we know in the original issue is she's on this planet by herself, and she's waiting for the predators to come back. Like that's all we know. And so she's standing there with her Harry Potter lightning bolt on her forehead, and she's looking out at the reader, or just past the reader. And in the original comic, there's a big The End box, right in the bottom right hand corner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, weird.
Yeah, and then And I don't know, when I was reading it, I was really kind of imagining that. I was like, this has to be the end of this comic. And then it kept going. I was like, oh, that's crazy. But it makes sense, because let's look at these few pages. I keep forgetting, by the way, that Broken Tusk dies this late in the book. I don't know why. I kept thinking it was a little bit earlier than this, but it's right at the end. So... And it's really cool that the novelization would have them as almost dual protagonists. I really want to read that. But anyway, so, again, we've got a new artist who does a perfect job aping the original. I don't know how his details are so close, because the original artist overly details this book. Drove the inker insane, apparently. And
that's hilarious.
So look at the art here. Those are the last 3 pages of what was the original comic. Obviously, a different artist now. And I don't know how I didn't notice it before, but, like, a different artist. Her face looks like a different character now. And I mean,
and I wondered about it, and then I was like
fair enough.
Maybe...
But...
Yeah, no, I definitely wondered about it, but then I went like, I don't know, maybe it's just that shot, like it's kind of dark, and it's been a while.
Well, these are clearly tacked on pages. I'm dumb. I didn't pick up. Even the panel layouts look different. Like, it looks like somebody a couple of decades later trying to look like this era.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it looks good. whoever this
Mhm.
is doing a good enough job. Um, I'm sure that artist is listed on the first page, and we can go back and look at it. But
I mean, they fooled us.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I
Look
don't
at her
blame them.
eyebrows. This is a different character.
That mask at the top right is cool though.
I'm curious to read the sequel to this because I read a short synopsis or just the kind of log line for it, and I'm
Mhm.
not digging on the concept with it. So I want to read it and see if it's any good.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've read it. Like, this one's always really stuck with me. I don't remember War super well.
Because what I read is that she gets kind of disgruntled with working with the predators and turns on them and runs off. And I'm like, well, I want to read a story where she's hanging out with them for a while. Like, I don't want to immediately turn the page and she's like, screw the predators. I don't want to be with them anymore.
But I remember that happening, but for some reason I thought that was later. But okay, yeah, maybe it is just the immediate next sequel.
Maybe you get a couple issues before that happens. I don't know, but I couldn't get excited about that.
Yeah, when I think of the novelizations, because it's like a full trilogy, I think, and it's like, this one's called Prey, and then the next one is Hunter's Planet, and then War. So maybe it's just that the novelizations added something in the middle. I'm not sure. It's been too long.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
So these are
but
the original covers. They put them in the back of the trade, except for this. That's just a pinup or something. And then, hold on, let me bring up, because I forgot I have these as a separate file.
yeah, no worries.
I'll have to reshare for you, Austin.
Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Oh,
I don't know if you could see that. Is it
oh
showing?
yeah, I can now.
Oh, hold
Oh,
on, I'll
it just
fix it.
left.
I didn't think you had it.
Everything's going wrong.
Okay,
There
let
we
me know
go.
if you have
Okay.
it.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so this is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off a second ago, Austin. If you had a point you wanted to make.
Oh no, I was just gonna go back to that thing about how the movie butchers the ending.
Oh yes, talk about that.
Oh yeah, so how they do it in the movie is that they blow up all the aliens, they get out on the ice, and so earlier on in the movie, our main predator he gets a face hugger on him, and then they're sitting around, and the predator's like, "Good job, you did it," and then he like puts the marking on her, and then the queen alien like bursts out of the ice, and then they fight it for a little bit, and it stabs the predator through the chest, and he dies. And then she kills the queen alien, and then all the predators come down, and they're like, "You're pretty cool, kid. Give her a weapon." And then they take the predator away, and then he like the chest burster comes out, even though he got stabbed in the chest. Yeah, it's not good.
So this is and I know this is low hanging fruit. Everybody hates that movie, but this is a relatively simple story that is
Yeah,
not hard to adapt. And even
no.
if you didn't want to be as thoughtful as this is, and even if you didn't want to deal with all of the politics and the bureaucracy, of which we've not talked very much about, but we should mention that the first half of this is real talky, and it's just building suspense and building suspense. So like pretty early on you get one gigantic explosion because we send somebody a character that we introduce early that you think is going to be part of the main ensemble and then dies real quick off to go um investigate the alien, which is because they find traces of the aliens. They're like, what is this? Or they, what is it exactly that they find, Austin? I can't remember. Is it
Yeah, it
like
was the face huggers.
is it just
They're
face?
just like on the
Is
ground
it just
dead.
dead
Yeah,
face huggers? Yeah, I couldn't remember if
yeah,
it was
all
that
dead.
or eggs or something. So they bring back the dead face huggers. That's what it is. And then the guy that's running the I think the cattle herding claims that they're in a different place than they were, uh,
Mhm.
because he's afraid that I he'll get in trouble with the company if they find out uh, what really happened. And so they send this person to the wrong area, and then he finds not aliens but predators. Oh no! And then he gets killed right away, and that's the
Mhm.
first real big piece of action you have. And then everything else around that is just like, again, building suspense and dealing with the politics of this company,
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
kind of espionage type stuff.
No, even when we get the Predators again, it's like the slasher movie thing where they go in and they kill that family, and it's very gory and like just kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's not the action movie thing.
One thing I don't think it makes it clear enough, or it makes clear enough, Austin, is that the predators have changed their target from the aliens to the humans.
Hmm.
It took me a minute to figure that part out.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like I said, all that Predator stuff is so just kind of hinted at and not, said outright. So that is something that's easy to kind of miss.
That was another, I thought, kind of staple of the Alien formula or structure, is that you have to have the one character in the colony or the expedition or whatever who kind of turns on everybody.
Hmm. Yeah, with the like cowboy hat guy.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
cattle
guess in a way he
the cattle rancher
like
guy.
kind of replaces the kind of Ash like robot character in the first movie in that way.
Yeah, he's not as bad of a person.
Mhm.
Like
No, he's just kind of a jerk.
he doesn't do anything like, and I'm not saying this is what Ash does, but like a lot of the time a character like this will like um get rid of somebody who has information that they don't want anybody to know about, or like, suck them out an airlock or that sort of thing. Here, um what he does is wrong, but he didn't have any reason to suspect that he would get somebody killed over it. So like
Mhm.
there is that. Like, I'm not saying that what he did was okay, and he's not all that remorseful about it, but like, he didn't send a person off that he knew was going to die. He had no idea there was any danger there.
Mhm. No, that initial eye's more scummy than it is like, you know, you killed everybody like it ultimately is by the end.
Yeah, like he's not sadistic or anything.
Yeah, no, he's just kind of, a shady guy.
He's just trying to cover his tracks. Now, he
Yeah,
might
exactly.
be a person that would, he might be, if opportunity arised, the bad guy from that last Jurassic World movie that just tries to suck a kid under a boat. You remember that?
Yeah, where he tries to push her off, or I guess he does push her off.
He
Yeah.
pushes her off, and then she survives, and the rest of the movie, she's trying to tell everybody that he tried to throw her off a boat. He's like, no, I didn't do that on purpose.
That needs to be the next crossover: is Jurassic Park versus Alien versus Predator.
Seriously, it
Where
would be, if they were all Universal, it would have been by now.
100%, 100%.
Well, that's the thing I meant to mention, is this artist
Yeah.
goes on to make Terminator 2, and
Mhm.
then very shortly after that, you get the Alien versus Predator versus Terminator Super Nintendo game.
Oh, weird. Yeah. Well, I wasn't even thinking about it that way. I was just thinking about how like weird it is that James Cameron is just kind of floating all over this because
Yeah.
obviously, he makes Aliens. The artist for this leaves to go do T2, and James Cameron's also the one that suggests the mouth mandibles on the Predator design. So like, he's got like a weird level of influence over this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they had a completely different design originally, and when they went to redesign it, I think Stan Winston and James Cameron were on a plane together, And James Cameron was like, "Oh, dude, like mandibles, man, that would be so cool."
I'm just shocked that this guy has never, as far as I know, touched anything to do with RoboCop, because he's been involved with everything else that has crossed with Alien and Predator.
He would have been perfect for the Terminator RoboCop comic, which I know that he did.
Yeah. Well, and I thought there was a comic that crossed all four of them, but maybe not.
Ooh, I'm not sure about all four, but it is possible.
But all four of those things have touched each other at one time or another.
Yeah, 100%. No, there should be like a fighting game of like, some of these kind
That'd
of
be great.
80s, R-rated, like vaguely like around each other kind of things like that.
Well, and I would be fine if Universal played ball and got a few things in there also. So you could get like some Jurassic Park dinosaurs and then somehow have the shark from Jaws
Well, what I love about this is an
as a
idea
fighting character.
because my mind went to like a kind of Mortal Kombat-y, you have like two people on each, or like one person on each side.
Well, no, me
But then you
too.
also have a T-Rex that's like way bigger. It's the shark from Jaws.
Yeah.
It's just like flying around.
Well, I'm okay with having no scale. Like that's fine.
No, I am perfectly accepting this. That's just a really funny image. Especially Jaws, because it's like, I just imagine him floating. Like he's just swimming through the air.
I do think it's funny that you just made me think of this, that
Yeah.
the American side of Godzilla right now has kind of the Alien Predator thing where we cannot disassociate Godzilla and Kong. Like we keep putting them together in things, like something versus Godzilla and Kong versus Kong, or Godzilla and Kong, and it's like
Yeah.
Godzilla Kong is becoming a franchise in unto itself, like AVP is.
hmm Yeah, and I mean, like the movie, and obviously we get King Kong versus Godzilla like really early. That's the third Godzilla movie. But rights issues for like the longest time, so you don't get that again, until 2020 or
Yeah.
2021. It's like you kind of have like a similar thing with AVP, where like it also took forever to get that on film. Now AVP is more, similar to Freddy versus Jason in that way, in that it's like the studio kind of wink, wink, like, yep, we're making it, and then it doesn't come out for like another decade. But
Yeah, sadly, Freddy vs. Jason is the better movie.
yeah. One, I think that comes first, and then I
That
think
actually
that's
felt
when.
like something somebody was excited to make. Like it could have been a lot better, but there's some people having fun behind that movie.
Yeah, well, that movie I think is why they kind of kick AVP into gear, where they're like, whoa, 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 that made a ton of money.
Yeah, it was huge.
Do that, and then make it PG-13, because we'll make even more money.
Which is weird that that's the lesson they learned from that.
hmm Well, that's why the next one, Requiem, is AVPR, because it's R-rated.
Oh man, they're like, oh, that was that was the one mistake we made.
Exactly. And
Then
then
Brayden
it's like
says
an
they
exploitation movie.
didn't cross all four, like with RoboCop
Yeah, I
and
didn't think
Terminator.
they had, but you could have.
I wish they had.
That writes itself, Dark Horse. What were you doing?
And I've
I
always
thought
wanted I've always wanted
knew
Matrix in
everything.
there somehow too.
I want to know though, like where they all connect with the Matrix. Like, are the Alien and Predator in the Matrix, or are they outside of the Matrix?
Well, that's a really good
Because now
question.
I have like a whole.
Oh no, it
thing.
totally breaks your brain as soon as you throw Matrix in it.
Well, because I was like the Terminators, like the machines, like okay, like you kind of like they would be outside of the Matrix. Oh my God, what if it's like the Matrix is in the middle, and like some of them are in the Matrix, some of them are in the real world.
Oh my God, that'd
But
be
the
great.
Matrix is like the thing that connects them. They'd be like the worst crossover ever.
And you have to keep track of which ones are inside and which ones are in the real world.
You're like, oh my god, this is called, Alien versus Predator versus Terminator versus RoboCop versus The Matrix, but like two of these things can't even exist in the same world.
Well, and what we do to make it even more convoluted is in the title, the things that are in the Matrix are put in parentheses, like in the title.
Well, see, what I was gonna say is
So
you
it's
do
like
it so it's
Alien versus Predator in parentheses versus RoboCop, not in parentheses, versus Terminator, not in parentheses, versus The Matrix, in parentheses.
or you do it where it's in brackets Alien versus Predator, and then versus The Matrix, and then again in brackets versus RoboCop versus Terminator. So you know that they're separated, but come together through The Matrix.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know why we aren't in charge of these things.
I don't know why aren't we running Dark Horse?
So real quick before we finish up, this is what the original Zero issue looked like. It was published in black and white, and you see it had really great inks, and it's impressively recolored or colored in the first place in the trade. I do like it. I'm surprised I'm saying better colored, because I loved the black and white feel when I thought the whole series was that way. And then when I got into the issue 1, I was like, oh, it is weird to publish a Zero issue in black and white when the rest of it is color. It just feels unfinished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a strange choice.
And I think some pages look better in black and white than others. There's one in particular. Yeah, I really, now that I've seen it in color, the bit with the snake, with the alien egg, I don't like as well. I was talking about this differently earlier. I thought it was the alien over the snake. It's the snake trying to eat the egg.
I can see where you're coming from. Like, it's a little harder to read in black and white than it is in color.
It's a little hard to tell exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell this was never intended to be colored.
Yeah. Now, that's a cool... is that like a cover, or what is that?
So that is the original cover that Mike Mignola drew, and then he didn't like it well enough. He rejected it, and he did a different cover. I don't understand that. It's spectacular.
Yeah, especially because I don't think of Mignola as like, kind of super detailed in that way. But that looks really good.
No,
and I love Mignola. Like, that's not a diss on him.
No, that's just not his typical style.
Yeah, exactly. I can see it more in the Predator's face, but outside of that, I would not have guessed it's Mignola. That looks really good.
Braden says they've published other tie-ins in black and white, and that's probably just a cost-cutting kind of measure.
Mm-hmm. When they were printing so much and in so many different areas and ways.
So this is what the original colors looked like.
Oh, okay. Oh, the Predators here are like a little bit more green.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little over the top, with the hues, with like what the colors are. I kind of like how grainy it makes it. It's a little dirtier.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely does have like a bit more of like a grit to it.
Mm-hmm. But
I also think I like the new ones more.
I do too. It ends up not looking as good with human panels. I think it's better with action. I think it starts to look too cartoony when you get into our main character.
I could see it. There's like a Rescue Rangers quality to it on this page.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I was trying to put my finger on it. Now, one thing I'll mention, and this is a real stupid, nerdy thing to bring up, I guess, but I do think these colors, because we're looking at scans from the original printing in the singles, which would have been on newsprint, and I do think this coloring looks better on that kind of paper than it would on glossy. For sure. And so if I were to collect this, I would probably buy it both ways, because I think there is an argument for both. Like I'd like to have the original issues for the newsprint, and then the new coloring on glossier paper. It's the nerdiest thing I've said in a while. But...
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean I can see that, and also too, because a lot of people, cringe when you say like recoloring, because a lot of times, especially digitally now, we recolor things and it doesn't always look as good. This is more of like a Killing Joke case where it wasn't done by the original artist, but he was never happy with these colors, and apparently the writer like out of pocket paid to have it recolored.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So like that is more of like a Killing Joke place where just the creative team wasn't especially happy with how it came out.
Now, I would say, considering how, and like I totally understand that, and I think on a way I think on some level he's right about it. I don't dislike the colors as much as he does, but it's his original intention versus what happened, right? Um,
Yeah.
because this is such a classic and iconic story now, and these colors are part of it. Like if you go again, look at that arcade beat 'em up. Like it's looking at the way this book was colored as much as the way it was drawn. Um, if it were me, and I mean, it would have made the book more expensive. I would have put out that hardcover with both versions. I would have done a recolor at the front, and then I would have tacked on the black and white zero issue and the old colors, or I do 2 volumes of it where I because DC will sometimes publish. I don't know if Marvel does it. Will sometimes publish a hardcover. Of a story that was printed in the 80s or the 90s and put it in newsprint so that you're reading it the way it was. It'd be cool to see that where they just
You
do
know
the
what
whole thing
should
in
have
they do the whole thing in newsprint, but it has a hardcover backing.
You know what should have had both colors? That would have been nice for the 30th
That's what I'm
anniversary.
talking about. Is I would have
Yeah,
published
yeah,
that with
yeah.
with it in the back with the original colors.
Especially because this just kind of randomly has the first issue of War tacked in at the end, and I don't really know why.
Yeah, especially since it's just
Especially,
the first. It kind of feels like they're just trying to pad it out to 200. Like I don't know,
yeah.
make it 350 and just put the same story in there again, but colored the way it was originally.
I mean, especially because it's like an anniversary release. Um, I don't know if they maybe wouldn't have wanted to do the news print thing just because of like the gold pages on
Well,
it,
that I
but
wouldn't have
as
done.
long as
It'd be weird
yeah,
to, and also it'd be weird to put newsprint and glossy in the same book.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you'd probably have to just do it glossy, but if they were just both there, that would have been something.
But at the very least, reprint the zero issue with the black and whites at the end.
hmm Yeah,
At
absolutely.
the very least, give us that. But we're nitpicking. That is a beautiful volume.
Yeah, no, this is still a beautiful book, but like while you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, this probably would have been the place that you should have done that.
Look how
But
blue the Predator is.
oh yeah,
He's so blue.
dabba dee dabba
Look,
die.
the end.
The end. Oh yep.
It's crazy.
We may never know what happens to her now.
It sounds like I'm not gonna like it, but I'll read it at some point.
Yeah, it's been so long. Like I said, I thought that came later, but uh, I guess it's directly next.
Well, this was such a good pick. I'm really glad you made me read this, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you really enjoyed it because I genuinely didn't really know which way you were gonna go. I was like, I could see Cap going, "This was work."
No, I really enjoyed it.
So
I
yeah,
mean, I'll admit that first half is a little slow going, but
Mhm.
it's ramping up like Alien did, which is what I was really respecting it for. So I was like,
yeah,
when we get into the actual Alien Predator action, which I really thought was only going to be like an issue, so I was really surprised when it turned into Aliens at the end. Like it really is both.
hmm yeah, exactly. And I think for like this kind of a crossover, like you kind of have to be more aliens, but it is cool. You get to have much suspenseful build up as you do.
It did not seem afraid of losing people. Like it took that risk,
hmm
which I
Yeah,
always respect.
Yeah, now Disney, please make this into a movie. Hire Dan Trachtenberg. He's doing a great job with the Predator stuff. Once he's done with his next Predator movie, get him to do this.
I think it'll happen. I don't know if it'll be a direct adaptation of this, but they'll definitely cross it within the next few years.
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah, I
shocked.
think so too. Yeah, and like the director of Romulus and Dan Trachtenberg have both kind of talked about like, yeah, Alien versus Predator, like it's a thing.
I think it'd be cool if you did that project with dual directors.
That's what the Romulus director pitched. He was like, "Get me and Dan Trachtenberg, and we'll co-direct it.
Let us both make it. That's a
Let's
great
both
idea.
make it." Yeah, that'd be an interesting way to do it.
I'd love that.
But I don't know that'll happen now because he's not coming back for the Romulus sequel. So I don't know if
Oh,
he would come
really?
back for that. But
Well, but if the Romulus sequel's good, then they could bring in whoever does that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So we'll see what's going down.
Well, Austin,
Yeah.
I'm between a couple of things for my next pick.
Mm.
What I'm thinking about doing would be a little extra reading, but it's a thing that we almost did at the start of the year, and I'm thinking about finally going back to it. We very nearly did Funeral for a Friend,
Oh, yeah.
and that's been in the back of my mind since then, and this reminded me of that because of the newsprint.
Yeah. No, I figured that was coming soon. So I know it's cool by me.
So that is probably what I'll pick.
Mhm.
I'm between that and Red Lanterns,
Oh, okay.
which I will pick at some point.
Mhm. Yeah, my next one will probably be the rest of Skybound Transformers. But
Okay, cool. Well, I will probably do Funeral for a Friend because it's weird I've never reviewed that, and I did Death of Superman like a decade ago, and I feel like I need to finally get to that. So it'll be like Watchmen as far as how much reading there is to do, but
yeah, it's fine.
I'm sure there's places where you can skim a little bit.
Hmm. I'll just read it over the weekend too. So it won't be too bad.
Cool. Hopefully, it's not too much of a slog. Because I mean, that's a lot of people standing around being sad that Superman's dead. But I need to review that so that I can eventually get to uh, what is it? A Reign of the Superman.
Reign of the Superman. Do we have to bring the black armbands?
Uh, yes, we have to make our own black armbands. That's very important. Nicholas
I don't know
Bono
if we have to
says,
make any. I think we can just like go to like just anywhere really and be able to find like that original black sealed copy.
"Well, that's true. Well, I've got one, but I've never opened it because I wanted to have a sealed one. Not that it's worth any more now than it was then, really."
I think it's worth less.
I should just open it and I forgot it had that in it. I've never opened it.
You can get it for like 25 cents. Just go down to your local comic book store. They've got like 16 in the back.
No, those are usually like $10 books. But they made so many of them, they'll never be worth more than that.
Hmm. No, exactly.
Nicholas Bono says in Superman is big this year. Yeah, I've really been in a Superman headspace, and it's odd we haven't done anything to the Superman this year since we've been doing so much Superman. So that's probably what I'll pick. And I thought about Superman 78 also. That was another one in the back of my mind because we haven't talked about that yet, and we did
Hmm.
89 not that long ago. So I'll do that at some point. And the sequel to that is either coming out or came out. I'm not sure.
I think it is out. Yeah. 'Cause, they might have announced a third one.
Oh wow.
Well, did they announce a third 89? Because I think they're kind of doing them both at the same time.
No, because that's the last issue still delayed. That's not.
Okay, well, never mind.
It's not out yet. The last issue of Echoes or whatever that's called, I think, is
Yeah.
slated now for like February or March. And I don't know how this happened, but the exact same thing happened with the first book, where issue
Yeah.
5 was delayed a bit, and then 6 everybody had to wait around for like 4 or 5 months. And the
Yeah.
exact same thing is happening with Echoes, except I think it's even longer.
Wild.
And nobody liked it, so that's going to be even more awkward. Like finally that comes out, and I guess some people will buy it just because they bought the other ones. But I don't know if anybody's like chomping at the bit to find out how that ends. I haven't read it, and maybe somebody. I've not talked to anybody that likes that book, so I don't know.
When I was more interested in Echoes, because it's such a weird conceptual thing,
It is.
where it's Sam Hamm writing that idea for the fifth movie as a new sequel to the 89 book. That's so weird. Like, I don't know. That's fascinating.
And they've got weird costume designs in that.
Yeah, their Batgirl's not great, but
no. But I do
I
like
don't.
the Harley Quinn with the Joker smile.
I don't know that I've seen her. I think I've seen a cover with Scarecrow, and I remember him looking cool.
Yeah, he looks cool. But I do like their Harley.
Yeah, I'd have to go and look.
I mean,
that's gonna break my brain because as a kid I always thought Alicia was Harley because I didn't know that that came before that character existed. That's gonna break my brain where it's like no, Harley does exist.
It
In '89,
would have been
she's there.
It would have been really cool if they retconned that. If they said like when she fell out the window, she survived it, and then she becomes Harley Quinn. Why not?
That would be. See her fall out the window. He could have just said that. Too.
She could. We would all buy that.
Yeah. He's saying things. He wants his face on the $1 bill.
In that universe, yeah, like it wouldn't have been that hard to make you buy Joker coming back. I'm glad Resurrection didn't do that, the novel. But if Sam Hamm had done it in his comics, I wouldn't have been like crying foul that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something.
We're at 2 hours. Let's finish this up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tomorrow night, I'll be back with a new episode of Comic Book Late Night Unlimited, talking about all the new books coming out this week and last week. And Chris and I will be reviewing the first few issues of Radiant Black, which we've been trying to get to for months now. Excited to finally do Kyle Higgins' solo, more serious Power Rangers-esque work. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. And we'll probably have Austin there for a segment also.
Oh, I got so much reading to do.
Good luck.
I've got 10 issues for tomorrow.
Oh my god. Well, don't feel like you have to come on if you don't get to it. You can just do it next week. But
oh no, I think I'll be able to get on. It's fine. It's just no, and I have a ton of issues this week. So if I wait a week, I'm gonna have like
20 next week.
20 issues.
Yeah, I had a huge week the week before, so it was a little bit lighter this week.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, no, I've got a huge one. Well, especially because. Like a couple of my books ended in July and August, so I decided to pick up a couple of like more indie stuff.
I actually went back to the shop yesterday because I had to drop Jason off for dance, and I shouldn't do that because then I end up buying more stuff. But you want to see what I got?
Let's see it.
I got a first printing of Absolute Wonder Woman #1.
Ah, there we go.
I'm so excited to finally get started collecting that.
That's fantastic.
I haven't bought any of those yet, and I was like, because that's my favorite of those so far, and I was like, when I find a #1 at a decent price, I'm going to get started, and they had one, and I was like, yes. I'll pay a little extra for that one. Absolute Batman #1, screw $50. I'm not, like, there's no way it will stay at that value. There's no way. But Absolute Wonder Woman's at 10 right now. I'll take the $5 hit.
Well, especially because you have to buy this book for like $300.
Dude, at this point, I'm better off going after the singles, except I want the coloring with that. So I'll have to look and see if they did the coloring before that, and I can live with an earlier trade if it's cheaper. But hopefully Marvel will reprint it at some point.
Yeah, because I also found an issue 1 for $100.
Is it that high now?
It's probably just because all of it's out of print. Like, people are just charging an arm and a leg.
Well, no, of course, but I'll look around on that because I'm pretty sure that is valued less than that.
I'm sure it is. I just saw, and I only saw one person, so it could just be one a-hole. But I did see one person selling it for $100.
Because I was looking at it on mycomicshop.com the other day, and I think they had like a $20 one. I don't think that's actually that high of a book.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I think it's more so just people are going like, you can't buy this anywhere. I can
I
charge
have,
what I want.
yeah, but that's why you got to look at sold listings. Um, I I have sold these in the past, and I did not, I, and they were not worth that 15 years ago. But I don't know where exactly they're at now.
See, if you held on to them, you could have sold them for $100 a pop. You could have been that a-hole.
Sure, but then it would have taken me 20 years to get green on that collection. And who
Yeah,
wants to do
probably.
that? Um, yeah, it really varies. I gotta look around at this, but I don't think that's $100 bug. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again real soon. We are just the most professional streamers on the planet. We appreciate you guys.
We're fantastic.
But with that, you get a tour of Austin's house. Austin's
Exactly.
mom's house.
Yeah, when he started barking again, but he immediately stopped, and I'm glad I didn't have to go back and do that again as we were ending.
All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin, the Day Ghost.
And good night, everybody.
Bye, folks.